Today, guys, I want to tell you about this genius advertising story that never got picked up. It was written about in the Washingtonian, which is a newspaper nobody's ever heard of. But this story, this reporting, uncovers some of the most genius advertising to the president ever heard or seen. And it cruxes around something called geofencing. So to give a little context on what geofencing is in the media industry, at its base, it's when you fence in a piece of digital content to only show in different parts of either the United States or around the globe. A really common example of this is, let's say, the Olympics, right? Everybody knows the Olympics. The Olympics will grant exclusive, airing contract rights to various media organizations around the world. So let's say they grant it to NBC in the United States. They grant the exclusive contract rights, but it's only to the United States. So NBC has to geofence all of their Olympics coverage to only be in the United States, which is usually okay for, like, let's say it's on a television channel, and that just means they can't run it, if that television channel, if NBC is playing in Turkey. But it gets even more common, and it's used super, common now in the digital age where, because of the internet, people can watch things anywhere. A lot of companies will have agreements with either advertisers or various other publishers that they're cross-posting, sharing content. And they'll geofence that content to only be shown to, like, Californians and New Yorks, like, let's say, BlackRock wants to advertise with the New York Times, but BlackRock only wants to advertise with California and New York. So New York Times will run the BlackRock ad, but it'll geofence it to California and New York and forget Montana. Sorry, Montana, nothing against you. But that's a quick synopsis of what geofencing is and how it's normally used. So let's start with the beginning here of this story. The U.S. Tourism Association, which is basically the tourism branch in the United States, noticed that tourism had gone down in the United States since President Trump took office, and that the only other country that had really gone down, that's seen a decline in tourism in the last couple of years, was Turkey. And the head of the U.S. Tourism Agency thought, well, heck, they had a coup and Turkey's falling apart. Where are all these people going? Oh, they're going to Canada, they're going to the United Kingdom. Man, what the heck? We need to get our tourism numbers up. Maybe it's because of Donald Trump's rhetoric, or maybe we can get Donald Trump to say something, about more people should come to the United States because it'll bring jobs and, bring a lot of money if more people are tourists. So the U.S. Tourism Association hired a lobbying firm in Washington, D.C. called S3 Public Affairs. And S3 Public Affairs has some of the most genius advertising, I got to give them credit. So here's what they did. U.S. Tourism Association went to S3, the S3 advertising agency in Washington, D.C., and they said, we want to get our tourism numbers up. And the S3 advertising agency said, great, we'll run these marketing PR campaigns, and we're going to target them specifically to Donald Trump, Donald Trump's family, and his closest aides. And the way we're going to do that is we're just going to track where he is at any given time. So when he's in Washington, D.C., we're going to geofence all our ads on television and on the internet, on specifically Twitter. We're going to geofence our Twitter ads to him, and we're going to track his IP addresses, and so we're going to geofence our tourism ads specifically to the White House and the surrounding area, 1800 Pennsylvania Avenue. And when he's in New Jersey, we're going to geofence them to New York. And when he's down in Florida at Mar-a-Lago, we're going to geofence our ads to specifically Mar-a-Lago. So wherever Trump goes, they're tracking his planes and then routing those advertisements specifically to those IP addresses in that little perimeter that Donald Trump is living in any given moment. That is really, really smart. And not only would they geofence specifically to Donald Trump, but they geofence specifically to Ivanka, Donald Trump Jr., Eric Trump, hoping to at least get to the kids and say maybe if the kids saw this, they would talk to Donald Trump Jr. And so they would also track wherever Ivanka or Don Jr. was and geofence it to wherever they were in New York City at the time or wherever they were in Florida at the time. And they would literally geofence IP addresses. Just the hyper-specific targeting of it is so smart. You got to give them credit. But it wouldn't end there. So another thing that this S3 Public Affairs, lobbyist marketing firm realized is Donald Trump watches a lot of Fox News. And in particular, he watches a lot of Fox and Friends, which is an early morning Fox News show. Well, what we want to do is buy ad space in that morning show, which is where he watches. And so what he'll do is he'll see our ads because that's the shows he's watching. Now, the S3 company wasn't the only one to queue up on this Fox and Friends, advertising thing. And Fox and Friends is ad polls actually went through the roof. To advertise on Fox and Friends is some of the most expensive advertising on the planet right now, specifically because everybody wants to get their ads in front of the president because the president has a lot of power. But then they realized, like, you know what? Donald Trump isn't watching the ads. Let's be honest. He has a TiVo. We have it on good record. His aides, say he has a TiVo. He's just watching Fox and Friends and then, fast forwarding through the ads. And so what did they do? They thought the best way to do it is to follow him around on the campaign trail and grab pull quotes from him, or like little clips of things he said on the campaign trail, and interlace that into our ad. So when Donald Trump is watching Fox and Friends, and then the ad, it's time for the ad break, he's fast forwarding through the commercials. If part of our ad shows Donald Trump, who does Donald Trump like most? Himself. So he'll more likely to pause while fast forwarding through commercials and watch what this ad has to say because he's seen himself talk. And it's been hyper effective. Very intelligent level marketing. One, to geofence specifically for the president and his kids. And two, to grab pull quotes from like speeches he's giving on the stump, interlace them into the ads, buy ads on a specific show he's watching, and then get him to appeal to his ego that he'll stop when he's fast forwarding through commercials and watch the ad. And it's been successful. Anyway, that's just a story I wanted to relate to you guys about modern advertising and the clever programming that goes on behind it. I'll link this story down in the description. I haven't really seen it reported anywhere else. It hasn't gotten much coverage, but I think it's really a great piece. It's a great story. If you want to watch another video, click around. Sorry for the last 2 days. I don't know how people vlog and work full time. You got to have some money to begin with or something. I don't know. Anyway, thanks as always for watching, guys. Have a good one.